Today, I wanted to share a personal experience, and I wanted to say to you guys listening, heads up, this is an important story. Pay attention to the details of it. It will be expansive in your understanding of how females react and live out their lives in this world. So when I was a little girl, I was raised Catholic and I went to the local Catholic school and we had this thing called field day. This was like 50 years ago, and I've gotten so old. And on field day, you'd be with your class and you'd compete in different ways. And they didn't separate the boys and the girls, So I remember being about 10 and we were doing a running race. And I wasn't the smallest kid in the class. I think it was the second to the smallest kid in the class. I was a tiny little girl. And I had a heart condition, so I was skinny. Uh, there was a kid in the class who was well known to me, who was from a very big family, and he was very tall. They were Scandinavian. They were all runners. His family, they're kind of famous for running. And so we were doing this running race, and I beat him. I beat him by a little bit, but I beat him. And I was surprised, and he was surprised. And the two female teachers who were, watching things at the end of the field went, I'll just make up the name and say it wasn't, go Dave. Okay, so there was no Dave in my class at that time, so wouldn't be able to figure out who I'm talking about. Go Dave. And I remember thinking, what? I beat him. And so, but the race was being run twice. And so we went back and ran again. And the second time I beat him by, more than a yard. It was visibly clear that I beat him. And then the two female teachers and all the other kids went, no, Dave, no, Dave. And I remember 10 years old thinking, oh, so that's how it is. I'm invisible. I don't even exist. And I remember thinking like, oh yeah, that's a thing, man. It's a thing. My mom worked in the church office and I would often have to sit in the corner um, waiting for her to get done with work because the school was right on the same campus as the church. And I would, sit and people would walk in and say things and do things and act as if I wasn't even there, just invisible. So take that and think, particularly in my generation, so maybe talking about some of your mothers and grandmothers now, were raised that the only value they had was to serve others. That's it. They were born and bred to be servants. They didn't have a voice, they didn't have a choice about it. They were just there to serve. And if they knew what was best for them, in many cases, if you wanted to stay alive, you would keep your mouth shut and do what was expected of you. So the next statement is no surprise to me. No surprise to me at all. So let me read it. March 30th. When I heard that Al-Anon was a program in which we learn to keep the focus on ourselves, I wondered what others would think of me if I acted on that principle. Surely they would think me inconsiderate, thoughtless, and uncaring. Those were my complaints about the addicts in my life. I didn't want to be that way. Instead, I tried to do things for others that seemed loving and generous, even when I didn't want to do them. I couldn't understand why I so often grew resentful after such actions. My efforts to be selfless by trying to please everyone but myself weren't working. The focus was on their response rather than what seemed right for me to do. There was nothing unconditional about this kind of giving. My sponsor helped me see that if I paid more attention to myself and to doing what I thought was best, I would be free to give without strings attached. Then I could truly be generous. Today's reminder. The Al-Anon program works when I keep the focus on myself, attend lots of Al-Anon meetings, and make my recovery a top priority. As I become more fully myself, I am better able to treat others with respect. Here's the quote. We are best able to help others when we ourselves have learned the way to achieve serenity. The 12 steps and traditions. So in looking at this, I just see what I would assume to be one person's just struggle. It's a profound struggle. If society, culture, your sexism has told you to act one way your whole entire existence, and to discover that nobody loves you, that you're not doing what's right, that things are kind of messy. There's some profound changes that need to happen, but they're a blessing. They're a blessing because every single person has worth. All of us. There isn't anyone alive whose life isn't precious. And it's so important that we recognize that first in ourselves so that we're able to recognize that in others. I pray this blesses you today.